Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church in Eugene, where empowered by love, we transform ourselves and serve our world. My name is Jennifer Hackett. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm delighted to be the ministerial intern of this church this year. I'm currently on lands which belong to the Cherokee and Shawnee people. With me today is the co-moderator of the UUA, the Reverend Meg Riley, and she is currently on Dakota Lakota lands. Also with me, the minister of this church, the Reverend Lois Van Leer, our collaborative pianist, Susanne Giordano, and behind the scenes working tech is the amazing Kat Johnson, who are all on Kalapuya lands in Eugene. Welcome to new and longtime attenders. A few announcements today. Today is meant to be a two-part conversation with the Reverend Meg. Join us for part 2 at 1 o'clock today in about an hour or so. The link is being dropped into the chat now. And if you're not a chat user and you're looking at your Dear Ones worship email reminder that you get every Friday, this link for part 2 is the one at the top of that email. We're feeling very optimistic about wrapping up our annual pledge drive by next weekend. If you can get your pledge in by then, it will help our church to keep moving and functioning and making a difference in the world and helping us to prepare for when we can physically be together again. Today is a busy church day. In addition to part 2 with Reverend Meg Riley, the Accessibility Task Force is meeting today at 5. And at 7, I'll be leading a book discussion of The Golden Compass. Faith Forward Beyond Inquirers class will start up on Monday, April 12th. This class is for everyone. You do not have to have gone to Inquirers class first, although it does help your base knowledge if you did, but you don't have to. And anyone in the church community or beyond is welcome to come and learn more about Unitarian Universalism. That'll be 5 Mondays at 7 o'clock. You can come for one class or one in the middle or all 5. It's more fun if you come for all of them, but that's okay. You can come for what you can. Harvest the Power is our leadership development class that starts this Thursday, 6 Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. until 8:30 p.m. If you're interested, just email ldc@uueugene.org to let them know. This does not commit you to immediately having a position of great power in the church. It just means you're developing your leadership for when the time is right for you in your life. The Spring Adult Faith Formation Catalog is live on the internet. Take a gander at the link being dropped into chat now, maybe after service. And the Youth Art Show prizes and awards are up. To view the awards and honorable mentions and the art itself, which was beautiful and amazing, go to the link being dropped into the chat right now, or just go to our website. As always, a warm welcome to those who are visiting us for the first time or for the second or third time. The visitor form is being dropped into the chat. If you're a visitor and you have never yet filled out this form, it will help us to connect with you, to answer your questions and help you to know more about our church and how we can serve your needs.
Oh, so beautiful. If you have a candle or chalice at home that you want to light now, it's time to do that, as we have our chalice lighting here. On this Passover Sunday and this week, on this Palm Sunday in this week of Passover, I offer these words adapted from Angela Herrera. Don't leave your broken heart at the door. Bring it to the altar of life. Don't leave your anger behind. It has high standards and the world needs vision. Bring them with you and your joy and your passion. Bring your loving and your courage and your conviction. Bring your need for healing and your powers to heal. There is work to do, and all that we need to do it is here. So let us come in and then reach beyond the walls of this congregation. Let us fill this space, this enormous space around the world that is still our sanctuary, with love, and then harness its power to stop oppression. Let us join together in worship, and together let us answer the call of love. Our first hymn, 170, "We Are a Gentle, Angry People," was written in a particular context that I just want to share for a moment. Harvey Milk was the first openly gay elected official in the United States, elected to the San Francisco Board of Supervisors in January of 1978. He, along with San Francisco Mayor George Moscone, were murdered by another Board of Supervisors member, Dan White, in November of 1978. And there was a huge vigil and outpouring of grief and anger about this. And singer-songwriter Holly Near wrote this song in a car on her way to the vigil. It came to her then, and she began singing it with the crowd who were grieving and raging. So we'll sing just the first two verses today, as we still need healing in our grief and our.
And what are we called to do? Hebrew tradition says that we are called to justice, mercy, and humility. Christian tradition says that we are called to love beyond our imagining. Pagan tradition says that we are called to do ye as ye will, and ye will harm no one. Our UU faith calls us to do and be in the world, insisting that we not succumb to despair, fear, or hopelessness, but rather that we be infused with love and compassion. Our tradition offers us a deep well to drink from. The waters there have been gathered by those who have inhabited this faith before us. In dreams and memory, they call to us as we call to them. A call and response of courage and persistence, reminding us that alone we save only ourselves, but together in powerful, beloved community, we save the world.
Today's meditation will be a singing one, number 1011. The words are centering us to return to our center, to our true selves, returning to the home of our soul. Sing with us. Our reading today is Choose to Bless This World by Rebecca Parker. This may be familiar to some of you who have heard us use parts of this reading before, and today we will offer you all of it. Your gifts, whatever you discover them to be, can be used to bless or to curse this world. The mind's power, the strength of the hands, the reaches of the heart, the gift of speaking, listening, imagining, seeing, waiting. Any of these can serve to feed the hungry, bind up wounds, welcome the stranger, praise what is sacred, do the work of justice, or offer love. Any of these can draw down the prison door, hoard bread, abandon the poor, obscure what is holy, comply with injustice, or withhold love. You must answer this question. What will you do with your gifts? Choose to bless this world. The choice to bless the world is more than an act of will, a moving forward into the world with the intention to do good. It is an act of recognition, a confession of surprise, a grateful acknowledgement that in the midst of a broken world, unspeakable beauty, grace, and mystery abide. There is an embrace of kindness that encompasses all life, even yours. And while there is injustice, anesthetization, or evil, there moves a holy disturbance, a benevolent rage, a revolutionary love, protesting, urging, insisting that which is sacrificed will not be defiled. Those who bless this world live their life as a gesture of thanks for this beauty and this rage. The choice to bless this world can take you into solitude to search for the sources of power and grace, native wisdom, healing, and liberation. More, the choice will draw you into community, the endeavor shared, the heritage passed on, the companionship of struggle, the importance of keeping faith, the life of ritual and praise, the comfort of human friendship, the company of earth, the chorus of life welcoming you. None of us alone can save the world. Together, that's another possibility waiting. And now, please join us in singing number 123, Spirit of Life. We'll sing it one time through together.
Thank you so much for inviting me to be here with you today, direct from my house in Minneapolis to yours in Eugene or wherever you might be. I saw someone from Kalamazoo, Michigan saying hello in the chat. One of the gifts of COVID is that we're able to be together. I've been able to be with congregations all over the United States and even all over the world with the ease of technology and technological wizards like Kat. So hats off to Kat for making this look easy, because it's not actually. Thank you to all the wizards. So right up front, I want to thank this congregation for your contribution and support of the Unitarian Universalist Association. I know that you worked hard to become a full honor congregation, giving your fair share to the UUA and the annual program fund, which supports all of the congregational work. Congratulations to you and thank you, especially in this uncertain time of COVID that shows commitment to this faith in a way that makes me very excited and glad to be with you. Your financial contribution shows your commitment to this faith and to the power that we have together as Unitarian Universalists in far-flung congregations. I have been UU my whole life, and this faith has held me through all kinds of transitions, through times of doubt and anger and disappointment, as well as celebration and elation. And it's my gratitude for this life of faith which led me to step forward with Charles Dumond and offer our services for a 5-year volunteer commitment as co-moderators of the UUA, just when I thought I'd be stepping down after 38 years as a religious professional. This was a way for me to give back. So on this Palm Sunday, in this Passover week, I wanted to reflect about our UU stories, the meaning we make together, our values, what we cherish that bring us to this faith and keep us here. When my now 24-year-old was younger, we used to go to a Seder where everyone there was Jewish but us, and it would go deep into the night. And on the way home for several years in a row, my child said to me, "Now that's a real religion. Unitarian Universalism is not." Oh, way to stab your minister mother right in the heart, kiddo. But I understood what they meant. Over the years, I've attended much simpler and shorter seders in many UU congregations. And I've seen that the language and the music and the food and the shared culture is so deep and so profound there. Whereas at the seders at the UU congregation often feel more like classes in what a seder means. Similarly, going to UU Easter services sometimes feels like a class in what Easter might mean. Do we think there was a resurrection? Maybe the jury's out. Let's just talk about daffodils. They vary from congregation to congregation, but very different from the resurrection that I knew at the Black Liberation Centered Christian church where I interned, where the resurrection literally gave people life. So these experiences could take you to that old joke that you use when given a choice between going to heaven after death or going to a discussion group about heaven. We'll choose the discussion group. But what I want to say is that for me, a life in this faith has not been a life in discussion groups. Rather, this faith has called me to difficult, painful transformation, challenging my own beliefs, listening to people with opinions different from my own, finding a way to face painful history of white supremacy and patriarchy and all kinds of other very difficult challenges to what I was brought up to believe. This faith has made me willing to learn and change and grow, willing to admit I've been wrong, willing to apologize and make amends, willing to face my fears. This faith has saved my soul and my life. Perhaps our Passover seders and Easter services aren't as powerful as Jewish or Christian ones because those are not our shared commitments, our shared language or values. Perhaps our shared values are less about which religious metaphors we choose, which stories speak to us, because for some people here, Passover or Easter or the spring equinox or all kinds of other holidays are the central story, but it's not what we're here to share in a whole congregation. Perhaps our shared values are much more about how we treat one another and how we live in this world, how willing we are to listen and grow and learn. Perhaps our worship services are where we come together to be, Molly Lou Mellon's grandmother for each other and say, it's okay, you can do it when we're in times of doubt, to find inspiration to keep going when it's hard. A. Powell Davies, a minister at All Souls Church in Washington, D.C. in the 1950s, noted that while many people had been put to death over hundreds of years for heretical beliefs, he was not aware that anyone had ever been put to death for refusing to honor the commandment in Micah to love justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God. Perhaps though we are non-creedal and our beliefs may vary, some version of how we live faithful lives is our litmus test as Unitarian Universalists. As Thich Nhat Hanh, the Buddhist monk, said, our actions are our only true possessions. I want to start out by being clear that none of us lives a perfect and faithful life. That's a goal that's just from the outset unattainable for any of us who's human. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to hurt each other. We're going to do things unconsciously. We're going to be selfish. We're going to be mean sometimes. We are human. We're imperfect. But part of a faithful life is acknowledgement right up front that we're going to mess up, but we're willing to be in community with one another and held accountable for our choices and our actions. We're willing to make amends and try again. That is not an easy faith. Far easier to simply declare that you accept Jesus as your savior, so you're going to heaven. It's not a declaration, our faith. It's a daily choice over and over. We don't believe in vicarious atonement. Our salvation has always been an inside job and a collective one. Martin Luther King said, "No one is free until all are free." And a UU statement might be similarly that no one is saved until all are saved. And saved from what, I hear you wondering? The idea that we are saved from lives of doubt, fear, profound and mundane mistakes, of oppression, of cruelty, is just that. It's an idea, it's a dream, and still it's an idea we strive for. Knowing that we will fail if perfection is our goal, Unitarian Universalist calls us to live each day making it a little bit better where we are, facing difficult truth, doing what we can for the common good, even feeling that everything we do is tiny and insignificant and feels inadequate. Our faith in the interconnectedness of all of life tells us that with others, all of those tiny, countless acts create something larger than we can imagine. I grew up in a fellowship in Charleston, West Virginia, as a UU. You might imagine what that was like in my fundamentalist Baptist neighborhood. Later, when I came out as a lesbian, I had already been told I was going to hell so many times it didn't hurt anymore. But this congregation was lay-led, it was small, and the people of the church built the building, and a small gaggle of us kids met next door in a house, kind of a rundown house basement. And the curriculum at the time was the Sophia Lyons FOSS curriculum, the New Beacon series, and it focused a lot on the natural world. We used curricula like How Miracles Abound, and it was all about the miracle of animals and plants and planets and solar systems and galaxies. Something happened in my childhood which radically, I think, affected my theology and my life, though of course I didn't know it at the time. When I was 6 or 7, there were other people in West Virginia, far different from the Unitarians, up in the hills who were snake handlers. And this meant that every week in church, they had poisonous snakes because the scripture said that if you were holy, you wouldn't die if a poisonous snake bit you. But a young girl got bitten and died. And so the legislature of West Virginia decided to pass a law to outlaw reptiles in churches. Now, there were only 2 faiths that cared about this law: the snake handlers and the Unitarian Universalists. So an early memory of mine is going with my family and other families to visit legislators and talk to them about how great it was to watch snakes shed their skin, to watch eggs hatch, to watch turtles burrow down into sand, to watch chameleons change color. The snake handlers, for their part, prayed and were told that angels would deliver them from this legislation. And so they were relaxed and happy, and they knew what the UUs were doing. And when the legislators decided to drop the bill, in fact, the snake handlers concluded that the Unitarian Universalists were angels. Now, I have to tell you that this congregation was full of people like my dad, a scientist at Union Carbide, very almost fundamentalist atheists. I never heard the word God in that church. It just didn't happen. So the idea that everyone around me might be an angel was really intriguing to me, though my parents thought it was kind of funny. We heard about angels at Christmas time, and they seemed really amazing to me. They came from the sky. And so as a young kid, I started wondering, maybe I couldn't see angels, but maybe everyone around me was an angel. I was telling this to my friend Elisa, who told me she had a similar but different story. She joined the Brownies at about the same age. And she was told in the Brownies that maybe when she went home, a little brownie would help out, and maybe they'd set the table or clean their room, or maybe they'd do stuff. So Elisa went home very excited, looking for these brownies, and came back the next week very dejected and told the leader, no, there were no little brownies doing anything at my house. And the leader, in shock, said, no, you're the little brownie. And Lisa was so disillusioned and disappointed that she quit Scouts and never went back. I went the other way with the angels. I worked into my belief system that maybe there were angels all around me that I couldn't see. In seminary, when I learned that the word angel meant messenger from God, from the Greek, I decided I'd been right all along. We are all messengers of the holy for one another. We are the ones we've been waiting for, as the song goes. Rather than be disappointed like Elisa that someone else didn't show up and do the heavy lifting, I learned that being UU means we have to claim our own agency to not only receive angels, but to be angels, to have impact in the world. I don't know about you, but the last couple of years have really stretched my sense that I have impact. Yet my faith compels me to find ways still to act. Every day, countless things happen, which are infuriating and beyond my control, whether it's greedy politicians who are lying and won't look beyond their own need for power, or voter suppression bills in all these states, or racist police violence. I'm here in Minneapolis, where the trial for Derek Chauvin begins tomorrow for the murder of George Floyd. Alone, I am overwhelmed and terrified and feel helpless. That's why I need to be part of a spiritual community which is grounded in a commitment to faithful action, where we understand that we are the ones who need to act if there is to be action. Of course, what action means may vary for each one of us. When I was younger, I was out there doing direct action all the time, getting arrested, doing civil disobedience and frontline organizing. And now I see my activism primarily as supporting younger folk, particularly people of color, people with disabilities, transgender and gender nonconforming people, and others who are marginalized and who frankly know things that I don't and can teach me. I see my work as amplifying voices which might otherwise not be heard, making sure that decision-making tables represent the diversity of who Unitarian Universalists are and who we might still be. My work as co-moderator is part of my activism now. This afternoon, I'll be sharing some of the exciting things that the UUA board is engaged in doing and tell you how you could be part of them. I've also surprised myself by, say, joining the League of Women Voters, an organization my mother was part of, and certainly I never thought I would be, but who here in Minnesota are doing great work on voter suppression and voter registration. In Minneapolis, where I live, the activism of Black Lives Matter activists and the indigenous groups fighting the pipeline is ubiquitous. My home congregation, First Universalist, is very connected to this work and keeps me connected too. Much of my support for these movements is from the background, listening, sharing information when I'm asked, offering money when I can, talking to other white people about why these movements are important and why I support them, and we should too. My work will continue to transform as I age, but it is a matter of faith for me that I am engaged. I am so grateful to meet up with you all and to know Unitarian Universalists all over the United States and all over the world who share this commitment to action. As Rebecca Parker tells us, those who bless the world live their life as a gesture of thanks for this beauty and this rage. The choice will draw you into community, the endeavor shared, the heritage passed on, the companionship of struggle, the importance of keeping faith, the life of ritual and praise, the comfort of human friendship, the company of earth, the chorus of life welcoming you. None of us alone can save the world. Together, that is another possibility waiting. I'm grateful each day to live into this possibility with you. And this afternoon, I hope to imagine with you what we might do together. Thank you.
We come into this place in time with our hearts full. Some of those hearts are filled with joy and some are filled with sorrow. Into this sacred space of the chalice of community, we offer what is on our hearts. Please feel free to share those things by typing them into the chat. We lift up all the ways that acts of violence have impacted those in our community. We lift up those who are suffering from illness, those who fight addiction, those who are in recovery and seeking recovery, Those who struggle with mental health, may they know healing. Joy for being able to attend a Seder, for folks who are able to get their shots, their vaccinations. Joy for our choir and for Mitch and Kelly, who make the choir supposedly sound better than they are. Joy for medicine. Joy of being together in community, for new beginnings in community. Disappointment and suffering and compassion for those in the Asian American community who know expressions of hatred in our culture. Celebration of anniversaries. May we all be reminded that there are angels among us and that we too are angels. May we go forward into this week carrying that knowledge with us. May it be so. So be it. Amen.
You must answer this question. What will you do with your gifts? Choose to bless the world.